weeks ago in my article for Sports Collectors Daily, I wrote about kind of the methods of organization for going out and doing in-person graphing, and especially talk about like 4 basic ones that a lot of people seem to use, the pros and cons of each one. So I figured I would do a video comparing all 4 of those and, kind of showing the pros and cons directly. B, how to go about constructing some of these items for yourself, and C, just about how to prep cards in the first place, because it's something I've been asked about a lot. How do you keep your autographs from smearing, from bubbling, anything like that on specific cards and such? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. The 4 methods of kind of organizing your stuff for in-person graphing come down to the 4 B's. You've got the binder, you've got the box, you've got the boards, you've got the book. So I'm going to take a look at each of those, show kind of what the pros and cons of each of those are. And so the very most basic way you can go is the box. Pretty simple. Every collector has at least a few of these in different sizes. There's, one of these that holds about, 200 cards, 250, something around there. Yeah, it says 200 on the bottom right there. You've got your bigger ones that hold 800 or so, I believe. Yep, 800 on the bottom. I have that upside down, but there you go. 800 count box right there. You can even get down to your, slider box and snap tights like that. This one in particular holds 35. I counted out before I put these in here, but little plastic ones like that just have the slider top or the snap tight, whatever you got. And those are really good to start with, but it's only really good if you have a few particular players that you're really keying in on, or like one card of each player for a team, because like I said, this holds only 35 cards, which is kind of tough to juggle around there if you have, more than 35 cards you're carrying with you, because you got to get 2 of those, or you got to go up to the cardboard box there. And they work well for organization, but not so much when graphing, because okay, let's say you've got your cards all organized, sorted out here, alphabetized by player, and you see that, oh, this guy with the last name M is coming through. You have to kind of shuffle through here, L, M. Oh, wait, here we go. He's in here. Okay, let's go like Luis Ortiz, for example. Is in the middle of this box. You can pull your card of Luis Ortiz out. Let's say as you're waiting there, oh, crap, here comes Steven Souza. You have to put your Ortiz cards back in order, then get your Souza cards out. Make sure they don't get out of order, and if they do, you're screwed. It's easy to, fortunately it's easy to resort. You can take a moment and put them all back into order, but that can be a little bit time consuming when you've got players coming at you all the time. You get a rush of players with 4 or 5 guys right after each other. You might get your stuff signed, but you're going to get it all out of order. And if you miss a player, or if you've got somebody that, I haven't seen this one yet, you keep them in the pile there, then you're going to have to search around for them, and it takes a while, and it's easy to get disorganized quickly with the box. So it's good to start out with, but it's not going to last you long if you have a lot of players. If you have, several cards of a player, for example, it's a little bit tough to work with. So, nice starting point. I don't think it's going to last you very long. I know, it never did for me. I think the very first outing I did, I think I had a box and I was like, okay, yeah, not doing this again. So, from there, I move up to the binder. Binders are great. You can keep everything organized, and it's easy to see everything right there on the pages. But again, you run into problems because you have to then take the cards out of the binder pages to hand them to the player, which is fine if it's like, taking a look at this page, for example, you have one card of Adel Amador right up there. He's coming by, boom, you slide it right out, just pull it right out, boom, hand it right to him, and you're hopefully good to go. But you've got Daniel Bard right next to him. You see Bard, you got to, pull 1, pull 2, hand it to the player, hope he doesn't smear them, hope that you don't drop your binder, hope that you don't, accidentally elbow somebody while going through your binder. Then once you get into somebody like on this page, Blaine Beatty, I've got 4 cards of him right there. Got to pull all 4 of those cards. And you're going to see the 3 right across the row there, which is great. But if you have that 4th one in there, you're probably going to end up forgetting about the 4th one. So it can be a little tough to work with there. Of course, you could go like on this page and, put just 1 row for Luis Lopez, just 1 row for German Marquez, just 1 row here for Hensley Mullins, who you only have 2 of. So just keep that 3rd spot totally open. Makes it a little bit easier, but what do you do if you have more than 3 cards of a player then? Pages aren't the best for that. Another recommendation I saw, though, that seems to work out well for some, is 1 pocket per player. You can put multiple cards in a page that way. I know there was one collector I saw who had 6, 7 cards sometimes of a guy in a single spot there, and you can pull them all out at once. So like in this page, I've got, 4 cards of Bud Black up in that corner there. I can easily pull all those out, just hand them right to him. If he does all 4, great. If he does just 1, that's great too. But it can be a little bit tough to organize. Trying to shove 4 cards into that page right there, and the page are going to get stretched out and all that. It can work well. It gives you a good visual on everything, but you're still having to watch to make sure you don't elbow anybody out of the way. You have to make sure that, you can slide your stuff in and out of the pockets easily enough. it might not be the best. So it's a step up, though. Still not the best I've found yet. I used the binder a couple times when I first started out. I did a couple hockey teams at their hotel, and that worked out fine because early on I just had like 1 or 2 cards per player typically. But once you start expanding out to more cards of a player, then it can be a little bit tougher that way. You're still having to risk, elbowing somebody out of the way accidentally, or just, yeah, it got to be a little bit of an ordeal there at times. So after that, I was told, and just from watching other collectors out there, about the boards. So the great thing is that you can use any kind of board to make your cards. You can make them in any size that you want as well. So as you'll find, I was recommended to get these, these black kind of like cardboard paper type folders. Ignore the ink stains on there, but I mean, you can see, it's kind of this, I don't really know what to call it. It's kind of fairly thick, thicker than poster board, but not as thick as like a cardboard or something, but, well, kind of a thinner cardboard, I guess, maybe. But it had these 2 pieces like this held together with this metal bracket that ran along here, and you could easily take the metal bracket out and instantly have these things flattened out. And what you could then do is they were just the right size to be able to hold 9 cards per page by using photo corners, either paper ones or plastic ones. You can get them at any craft store. And so what I started doing was, okay, hey, let's throw on photo corners, hold them 9 at a time per page like that. And so suddenly, instantly, you can just hold these cards out. And the great thing with the photo corners too, you can easily pop the cards out without any damage and put them back in without any major damage. So you got to curve the card a little bit, as you see right there, kind of curving it to slide it in. But photo corners hold in. You just need 2 photo corners per card typically. If you want to get extra safe, you can put 3 on there. Do 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top, or 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom, vice versa, whichever way works best. And with that, you can easily organize everything. So you can have all 3 cards of 3 cards of a player right across here, 3 cards of another player right below here, and then if you have a single card of that, just stick it right in there, or 2 guys with 1 card each, 1 there, 1 there. I'd recommend leaving a little bit of space though, because once in a while, if you stick 2 cards of a guy here, and then 1 card of a different guy here, that guy who signed those first 2 might just go right down the line and accidentally sign the wrong card. I have had that happen before. So this seems to be the best way to go about it, but the problem is, again, organization and keeping everything sorted out, because, let's say, oh, hey, here comes, say, Chuck Long, for example, on this page. I get my stuff signed by him, but then real quick, oh crap, now here comes somebody else, and I have to shuffle everything around, and Marquette King get his to the top. Then, oh geez, here very quickly comes Vic Beasley, I have to slide his stuff to the top. Now all my stuff might happen to be getting out of order a bit here. And yeah, I mean, I've got, actually stayed fairly in order with that, but still, it's very easy to get stuff jumbled around when you're having to shift around, several of these all stacked together. So you got to kind of come up with some way to combine that board with keeping everything in order and organized. And so something that I've seen from a lot of people is the Grapher book. And that has been an absolute lifesaver ever since I started using it about 10 years ago. A lot of collectors around the Dallas area use it. Actually, a lot of collectors nationwide really use it. I've seen it just about everywhere. And then there's still some that look and go, whoa, hey, what's that? How'd you get that made? How'd you do that? And so I figured, let's talk a little bit about these, and I'm going to show you how to go about making one here as well. So going back to what I was saying about these, you also notice that they do come with those holes in them there. And what you can do is, see if I have them around here. Yeah. Get some binder rings from your local office supply store. Something like this. Take one off here. And what you do, line up, make sure you've got the holes running through there. Run that binder clip right through, or binder ring. Clip it in place like that. Do the same thing on the bottom here. Just pop that open. Slide it on through, close it off, and now suddenly you've taken that and you've got them in a way that's going to keep them in order, because if you take them apart, they're still going to be hanging in together there. So you can get to that Chuck Long page, flip back again then if you need to that page with Marquette King on it right there. And then whenever you need to, when Bunmi Rotimi, for example, comes by, you can flip over to his page right near the back, wherever it is. It's I missed it. There we go, to the Bunmi Rotimi page, and just flip through everything that way. It makes it so easy to keep everything together. The only problem is once in a while you might get a card caught on the photo corner of a previous page and might flip around and get stuck together, something like that. But if you keep your photo corners on just one side of the page, you really don't typically have that as a problem. So the boards and the books are the best way to go. And I'll show you a few other examples of some of the books that I've made. If you go about getting a, we call it just one of these like mixed media sketchbooks in that size. This one here is a 9x12, and the great thing with the 9x12 here is that it will hold easily 9 cards per page, 3 across the top, 3 at the middle, 3 across the bottom, which I don't have filled in there, but you can see the photo corners there. You also can put multiple corners on. See right there, for example. Take a look. So here, down here to hold it vertically, here and here to hold it horizontally. So I'll just pop a card out real quick and show you there the difference. So let's say you've got, one of those horizontal cards that has like 2 players on it or something like that. You can slide it in that way. You can customize them however you want to, and that is the beauty of this thing. You can make the book work for you more than anything. And like I said, you make them in multiple sizes. This one, I can fit 9 per page. I've got this one right here that I had custom made actually up at Office Depot. Wide like that, and it'll hold 3 per page on there. Craig Lefferts right there, as you see. And with this one, I did it both sides. So, you can fit basically 6 per sheet, basically 3 per page, 3 per page, 3 per page. And that works out really well, unless, once again, if you have, more than 3 cards of a player that you need, then you might need something a little bit bigger. So that's why I like the 9 board right there, because, that 9 board can hold, 4 of a single player, and then you can put, a row of 3 across the bottom for another player. You can have, 3 per player, 1 and 1, whatever you need for that. But I wouldn't recommend, filling up a full 9 board of just 1 player, but, that's whatever. There's a lot of guys that aren't going to do the full 9. There's some that will do it, but I keep it within the bounds of good taste is the best thing I can say right there. This one I've been using for, going on a decade now. I got one of those composition notebooks, which you've probably seen them. They have, usually it's a, like a black and white kind of splotchy cover on it, and it is actually string bound as opposed to like a coil or wire binding of some sort, or comb binding. And the pages are just normal notebook paper, so fairly thin. But the way they're bound, they are still able to turn very well. I'd recommend putting like a piece of duct tape right down the middle of it as well, just to keep it safe. That's what I did on here, as you'll see. Helps just kind of reinforce that string binding in the middle there. So find the middle page, duct tape through there, and I've done a custom duct tape cover on it now because it was just looking so bad at one point. But with these ones, the pages are a perfect size to be able to hold 4 cards of a player per page. So once again, if you have 4 cards of Mike Fetters, for example, you can put all 4 of those on there. You have, your 3 Johnny Gomes cards right there. You can see kind of how I do the horizontal one there. So 3 Johnny Gomes cards fit in very well right there. You saw Jeff Gardner on the previous page. See if I have any here that have, 2 different players on it. So like I have 2 of Matt Herges and 1 of Tommy Henry. Fit them on the same page. Save yourself some time, some space. Good way to do it. So that's the great thing right there, is the book, you can customize it however you want. You can construct it however you want. And so I'm going to show you how to go about constructing one of those books. I've got a new sketchbook. It's a larger one. I'm going to do a slightly larger than my 9 right there that I did there with a 3x3. This one's going to be a 5x3 instead. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you go about constructing your own graphing book. All right, so we're going to go through and show you how I go about making one of my graphing books. So the biggest things you need, like I said, number one, you're going to need one of these mixed media art sketchbooks, basically. So I got a big one here. This is an 11 by 14, so pretty good size right here. Because like I said, the previous one I showed you there that I did from a sketchbook was a 9 by 12. So what I'm going to do is I need to take some cards just to kind of figure out how many can I fit in here. So let's just dig into this box. I've got a random box right here that's going to be potential future TTM stuff. So you can take just the stack of cards. I'm going to lay them out across the binder, or here, across the book right here. So I was thinking originally with an 11 by 14. The cards, are 2.5 by 3.5 wide. So 2.5 times 4, that is 4 wide if I really want to. That's perfect. 3.5 high, that's, 4 wide will make 14, but that's going to be really cutting it close because I got to fit the photo corners on there. You don't want any overhang on there. It's not going to be the best. So what if I swing it around the other way? Let's try taking this. We'll rotate it that way. So you're kind of looking at it upside down right now, but it should hopefully give you a decent view of everything. So we'll lay them out this way. What if I were to go 1 here, 3, 4, 5 will easily fit right there. And see, I've got a little bit of extra room there. I can space them out just a bit more that way, which is good. You don't want to have them quite right on top of each other. That's not the best way to do it. You want to have just a little bit of space there at least. I can go down this side now and see, okay, it'll fit the second one there. It'll fit a third one there, especially if I move this up just a bit. So see, it's kind of a tight fit there vertically, but I think it should work out just fine. So let's go ahead and give this a try. We'll, again, just to prove that they're all going to fit in there. We'll go right across there. and here, and here, here, here. So I'm going to be able to fit 5 rows, or 3 rows of 5 cards in here. So that's great because, I mean, if I have like a player that I know is going to, I usually don't go more than about 4 cards per player if I can. So I'll go like 1, 2, 3, 4. I can keep that spot open. 1, 2, 3, 4 for another player, and 1, 2, 3, 4 for another player. And that way I can easily just kind of space out a little bit, give the player a little bit of a visual barrier as well. That definitely helps because the easier you can make it for the player, the better off your luck is going to be. So let's go ahead and take these cards back off here. Doesn't really matter what order they're in, so I was like, yeah, kind of keep the players all together here as individual units. All 3 Lewis Tillmans will be there, the 3 Tim Irwin cards will be there. Brett Maxey can go right there. So I've got, yeah, he's in the first pile here. So put these back. Well, don't really need to put them back for now because I'm going to need them for a minute here. So one of the things that you may have noticed was that, especially on this one, this is a very large coil that is on there. You have to remember that as you add the cards in here, it's going to take up space. So if I were to try to do the whole 60 right here, that is really going to stretch that coil out there. It's going to, you know, kind of balloon up to like about that high off there. It's going to really put a lot of stress on there and wreck the paper. So this is a 60 sheet binder. I'm going to go ahead and take 20 sheets out of it just to, you know, give myself a little bit of space on that same coil. So, because with this one, if I were to take all of the cards out of this book, that coil would look absolutely huge on there because I've got something on probably about 2/3 of the pages in here. Yeah, it ends right about there. So pages with stuff, pages without stuff. If you fill that whole thing up, it's finally going to take up this whole thing. I had them intentionally build it with a larger coil on it when I got this custom made at Office Depot. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing here, but instead of, you know, putting a different coil on there, I'm just going to take some pages out. Because the great thing is, if I'm able to fit 15 cards per page in here, 15 cards per page times 30 pages, that'll still hold 450 cards if I take out half the pages from it. And I'm not going to take that out to begin with. I'm going to take about maybe 1/3 of the pages out, and it'll still hold 600 some cards. So the great thing is with these micro perforated pages is that, I mean, they're easy to tear right along there. Then you can kind of cut along the area right next to the spiral binding in there to take those off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take out 20 pages here to start with. I'm not going to bore you with that. We'll go ahead and stop it right here for a moment, and we'll pick it up on the other side after I do that. All right, so as you can see, if you're looking at it from above here, it's a little bit better there on that, that edge there. I'll show you this way as well. See how I bought a little bit more space that way. So if I need to, I can take out, you know, another 10 pages if I need to from the back. But right now it's down to 40 pages, so that's good. So another thing I would highly recommend with these, because, you know, I mentioned that they're micro perforated there. You can see it right along there. Might be able to see it from above there too, and whenever I use that angle. There's, right along there you've got that micro perforation. And the problem with that micro perforation is that occasionally it can get weakened over time, and page might start to, you know, tear away from it and fall out. So get yourself a roll of Scotch tape. And what you're going to do is you're going to go right down this line right here, the long line of Scotch tape. You can do that on every single page, and that's going to just help reinforce it. You only need to do it from one side, really. And if you have like the cellophane tape, that's better, but I mean the matte finish tape should work just fine here as well. So go ahead and do that real quick. Show you how to do one of those, just right along there. Long piece of tape there. And just get as close as you can to the ring holes there. Just don't go onto them quite. Put it down, seal it. And so right there, yeah, it's looking pretty good right there. I can see exactly where it was. The whole thing is covered in tape. The ends, not quite perfect on the ends, but as long as you have most of it done, you're good. And if you really want to get picky about it, get a little extra piece on there. Just go right up to that top edge right there. Put it on. Flip your page, fold it over, all that good stuff. Just, you know, you just want to reinforce it. Make sure that everything is as strong as you can make it. If you want to, you can do it on the other side too. I think that's a little bit of overkill though. So we've got that all set right now. And so from here, we can start spacing out our cards. What you're going to need is you're going to need your package of photo corners. You can find these at any craft store. They've got paper ones, they've got plastic ones. You can get black plastic ones, you can get clear plastic ones. This is just a package of clear ones. They work fine. People have their preferences. If you use paper, I would highly recommend reinforcing them with extra tape, which I'll show you from this one real quick that I made before. I'll find a page that has some paper ones in it. And of course, this is one that has paper ones, but I didn't reinforce them. So, okay, let's, these ones. Pages I made here, you'll notice what I did was I put the photo corner down and I put some extra tape right along there to make sure it stays on. You can also do tape kind of across the top there to help seal it on. Just have it reinforced. That's going to help you out a lot in the long run if you use the paper ones. If you use the plastic ones, you should be fine. They have their own kind of pitfalls with them, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, we're just going to work on focusing on the construction of it. So, in here, get a sheet of these photo corners out. I think, yeah, I can go ahead and throw that out. That was just a note page that's done. So, if you can toss that in the trash, please. Thank you. So, let's go ahead and take a sheet of photo corners out from the package. So, there you go. Simple sheet of photo corners. Good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and grab a few cards. We'll start, let's see here. So we'll grab just 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cards right here. So, like I said, what we're going to do is we've got this whole thing here. We're going to go 5 across here, 3 down this way. So 5, 5, 5. And so we're going to start from the very top part there just to make sure that we're using all of our space effectively. So peel off a couple of photo corners. Throw that card down there. 1 corner, 2 corners. So you got 2 of them, and you're just going to put them in opposite corners from each other. So I'm going to start here with that. Start here with that. So I've got the photo corners put on just like that. Go up to that top. Get the card placed down. Make sure it's on straight. Place down as well. And just make sure it's really well sealed onto there. It's a little bit off center there, but not too bad. I should be okay. So do the same thing here. We'll grab another card off of here. Let's see, where did I start peeling from? I started at the top here. Okay, so we'll keep going across the top here of this side. Grab these 2 here. Peel 1 off there. Peel 1 off of there. And we'll do the same thing here. I might actually start, I think, from the other side here this time, just to make sure of my spacing. So go up here, place this right along there. Right there, comes close to the edge, pin it, seal it, good to go. So now I've got the space in here to work with for these middle 3 cards. I know kind of how much I have to work with here. So again, grab a couple photo corners off of there. I always try to do top left and bottom right. I don't know why, I've just always stuck with that, but as long as you're doing 2 opposite corners, whether it's the top left and bottom right, top right, bottom left, either one works. Put that carefully right into there. There we go. 1 more here. Get those off of there. Do the same thing. We'll go from the opposite side this time again. If all's done right, I should have just enough space in the middle there. Go there. Pin them down. And yeah, I can just tell by looking, there's plenty of space, like just right there. See, perfect in the middle. There we go. Put it on right there. And right there. And so there you go. You've got this nice row of 5 right across the top here. And space these out again by doing kind of the columns down the side here, just to make sure that those will fit in. And as you see, yeah, just right there. So do the bottom one here, just to make sure that everything is going to fit normally. So first thing you do is, put in that middle row and then suddenly discover, oops, that's going off the edge. So let's go ahead and do the bottom one here. Putting on the corners again there on the opposite corners. And we're just going to place it right there at the bottom, right there at the edge. Pin it down. And we'll do one for this middle row. Right there. Right there. Yeah. Sometimes it can be a little tough to work with, but there you go. Just carefully get it in there. You don't want to damage your corners of your cards on there. And just very carefully line it up perfectly there and there. And so now you've got kind of a guide to work with for each of these 2 bottom rows. So we're going to kind of just continue on doing the same thing right across. This helps out a lot if you have pages that are slightly larger than what you absolutely need. So that way you're not having to, sit there and go, oh boy, I hope I get that just right. And fortunately I did here. I mean, this is kind of, I guess, the hands of experience here a little bit with it. So in hindsight, it's kind of best, if you start working on this with the teams that you're going to be seeing there, put them on. So that way, because I mean, with these, I'm just using basically just, dummy cards as spacers. This is stuff that I'm going to be mailing out in person here eventually here with, these Mark Collins cards, the Bruce Coslet cards. But if you can, just stick the cards on you're going to need right away, because you can stick them on a couple weeks in advance. Just kind of let the corners stick on there and cure to the paper and all that. But, you do what you got to do basically with this. And so I figure, we'll just put these on as dummy cards. I can even leave them sitting there for a little bit if I need to. But yeah, stick them on and let them do their thing, let them sit there for a bit. But yeah, we'll go ahead and finish off this page at least here, just to finish up what we're doing here and show you how it all goes. So I'm going to go back again to doing that bottom row. I'm going to try to do like one then the other real quick here, just so I'm not... There we go, just so I'm making sure the spacing stays reasonably accurate the whole way across. So this seems to be the best way to do it, I think, in my own mind. So let's see here. Another card of McMurtry here. I try to follow a bit of a pattern here on the pulling the photo corners off, but doesn't always quite follow perfectly. So just do whatever I can with it. It's a lot easier to do it that way, so that you don't accidentally throw a corner out that's perfectly good and go, oh crap, I could have used that one. I'm kind of cheap like that. So yeah. So there we go. Stick another McMurtry on right there. Let's see here. Pull that one. That one. There also are photo corners that are, well, the paper ones, usually it's a lot easier to tell exactly where you're at on them, because they're usually made of black or gold paper on a white piece of sticker paper there. So it's easier to track where you're at with those than it is with, clear on white, but oh well. They also have ones that come in like a roll that you can pull out of the box and pull out one at a time. Those work all right too, but I find for some reason the sheet ones seem to be better quality for me. The ones that come on the rolls there, I've occasionally gotten rolls that are just bad. You stick a card in, you pull it out and pop, the corner breaks on you and you have to put a new one on, and sometimes you get just a whole box of bad ones. So the sheets, though, I've had decent luck with the sheets so far. So yeah. Almost done with this page here. I just got 4 more cards to go on there. And this is always the toughest part with making a book like this, is just the prep work involved. But once you get it done, though, you're going to be good to go for quite a while. And it's going to last you a good long time as long as you treat it well. All right, almost there. Especially when you consider, you have to do this for, 40 pages or so? Oof, yeah, not exactly the most fun. Another thing you can do if you don't trust yourself with your eye is make a guide with a ruler and a pencil. Just, very lightly put a line across and go, okay, we're going to put this as the top line. This is the top of the card on the middle line. This is the top of the card on the bottom line. Something like that. If it helps you out, do that, Personally, once again, I've been at this for ages now, so I can eyeball the size of a card pretty well usually, and in this case, it was just, a case of line it up the first time, make sure it's good, and you're off to the races after that. There. And we're going to have one more at the bottom here. Once again, just be very careful with your spacing is the biggest thing that I can say with anything like this. Last one will go right there. And that'll fit just right in there. And so, there you have it. That is a 5x3, or 3x5, however you want to look at it, book that is ready to go. You can take it out graphing with you. So once again, just going to lather, rinse, repeat on that for 40 pages or so. I'm going to leave it at the 1 for now. I'll finish the rest of these before I have my first outing with Frisco and Corpus Christi in a few weeks. So, I also, like I said, I've been asked several times, how do you prepare cards to make sure they don't get smeared when a player signs them? So, how about we take a look at a couple of methods for that. All right, so we've shown you how to make the book. Now let's show you how to prep the cards. The great thing is that depending on what era of cards you're working with, not all of them require prep. If you're looking at, like, let's say, I had one sitting here. It's a 1990 score football card. Not one of the glossy ones. They've got a kind of a matte finish to them. And the great thing is these matte finishes don't need to be prepped at all. Might be good, just, give a couple of quick rub downs with your fingers just to make sure. But for the most part, ink is going to stick to that. It's going to dry real quick. You're going to be great on anything like that. So anything with those early scorecards, those early tops cards, anything like that before. It was about 1993 or so that things started changing. Companies started using higher gloss on cards. Like 91 Pacific is one of the first early high gloss ones I can think of. 91 Stadium Club, 91 Pinnacle. So 91 when it kind of started, and 93 is when it really started to be used by every single company. I mean, 94 was Topps' first super glossy finish on a card. 93 Donruss was Donruss's first venturing into that. Score, I think it was 94. Fleer, I don't know what Fleer's was. Probably 95, because I can't think of what 94 Fleer looked like off the top of my head. I know 94 Fleer basketball would have required it. It was glossy. Maybe, yeah, 93 Fleer, I think, was the first one that would have required it there. But Upper Deck, it was 93 as well. So the problem is that the ink just does not stick well to the gloss. Although I have noticed that it seems like the more the gloss ages, the better it sticks. But just to be safe, you might want to prep anything that is glossy. And so we're going to take a look at a couple of cards like this playoff card here. You can just see, I mean, just look at how much that light reflects off there. If I compare the two, go between that score and that one. You can tell the difference there, really. So, see. That is a very, very glossy card right here of Dan Fouts. Excellent TTMer, Hall of Famer. But you want to make sure that autograph's going to stick to the card whenever you mail it off to him. So I'm going to show you two different methods of prep on how to get your cards ready. And actually, I can even go with a third one here if I find another very glossy card very quickly here, which I may just skip on. Okay, there we go. We'll go with this Stadium Club one here. So the very first one is you can just use basic skin oil, basically. Just, use your thumb, get right in on there, and just, really rub it down. It's kind of gross, but if you need a little bit of extra skin oil, somebody might have some on your forehead or on the side of your nose. Rub it in on there. Gross, isn't it, right? But you know what? It works reasonably well a lot of the time. Sometimes that's enough to counteract the gloss. Sometimes it's not. I would recommend something a little bit heavier duty than just that. So let's go to a couple other methods. First up, the great white eraser. A white high polymer eraser is going to be one of your best friends in this because it can do a whole lot of things. It can not only just prep your cards, but I mentioned before, what if a player signs the wrong card, for example? If it's a glossy card, this will take that autograph right off. You can get them as like one of those little click erasers that looks like fits right into a pencil case. You can get them in the block like this. They're always good to go with. I always have a couple of these on me. And so for prepping a card, all you want to do is you want to take that and you just want to go over the entire surface of the card. So this card of Roger Craig, for example. Just try to cover it all right there. Make sure it gets very well covered. Turn it around. Do it in that direction as well. It's okay to overlap your eraser strokes there. Just make sure you're covering the whole thing. And typically, a nice covering of that, you won't have many eraser crumbs at all. It still is going to maintain a lot of that gloss, but for some reason, that just helps to get the autograph to stick. I don't know if it leaves some of that high polymer rubber behind or something on it, or if it kind of, mashes down the gloss a bit. I really don't know how it works or why it works, but it just does for some reason. So that's a great way to go about it. You can start with your white eraser for it, or if you can find it, talcum powder. Now, most baby powder today is cornstarch. There's been, I think, kind of a ban on talc powder. Has something to do with some kind of contamination in it there with like asbestos or something like that. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's tough to find talcum powder, like the original, the good stuff. You can find the cornstarch stuff everywhere, and it just does not work that well, to me at least. So if you can find it, use talc. It's tough to find now. I fortunately had a very large container of it, and so I just kind of pour in and refill this thing every now and then whenever I need to. But even when this size has lasted me quite a while there. So I always carry it with me. Anytime I've got a glossy card, I'll just, sprinkle a little bit on there. And the great thing is you don't really need to use that much on there. I was talking to somebody in Arizona at spring training, and she said, oh yeah, how much do you use on there when you sprinkle it? I'm like, oh, very little. She's like, oh God, I was using like 10 times that much when I used to powder. I'm like, oh God, no. I mean, I'm going to show you right now. Hopefully you can see this nice and clearly here, but I'm going to give this a little shake here first. There we go. And so you don't really need to put that much. I mean, that little sprinkle right there is going to be plenty to use on there. So sprinkle it on, a couple fingers, rub it around. Again, make sure you're coating the entire surface of the card. Get out to every edge, out to every corner, turn around that way, and just make sure that it's totally coated. You don't even really need to wipe it off if you're only using that small of an amount. I mean, if you're using a whole ton of it, then yeah, I mean, wipe it off and do it in a ventilated area because you don't want to be hacking out a lung and coming out with a case of white lung or something sometimes. So, just, make sure you sprinkle on enough powder, cover it up, And if you have a little bit extra, just go to your next card with whatever you've got on your fingers there. It might be enough. But again, you'll see that right there, it counteracts the gloss. It's still, you can tell it's still glossy and everything. But again, for some reason, I don't know if it's like a micro abrasive to where it kind of scrapes at the gloss a little bit, or if it, fills in some gaps or something in there, like little minute gaps or something. I don't know how it works, but it just does. And for me, powder has been the best way to go about it. And the good thing is, you have like a full 9 board, you just tap, 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 tap right across and just, wipe it in real well and, just knock them all out real quick there. So typically what I'll do is I'll put all my cards on the boards, have them ready to go, and then just, very quickly do a quick powder coating when I'm just after I park the car or something outside the ballpark, or even just inside the ballpark when I'm waiting before the players get there. So there's a couple methods of prep for you. There's the white eraser method. There's the baby powder method. Both of them work really well. I personally recommend the baby powder method. So hopefully that helps you out for your TTMing and for your in-person outings as well. The powder is going to help you a lot for that. The eraser will help you out for that. And hopefully my advice on how to build a book is going to help you out as well. If you have any recommendations on other ways to prep cards, on other ways to organize your cards, please let me know in one of the comments on there. Shoot me an email. I am at dfwgrapher@gmail.com. You can check out my website at dfwgrapher.com. And of course, hopefully you came here from my podcast. I am the host of TTMCast. And if you didn't come here from there, well, go and check it out and tune in. TTMcast.com. We usually have a new episode up every Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. Best of luck on your graphing here in 2024.